Hello everyone! Hearthstone has added a new free-to-play solo adventure, which they call the Book of Heroes. You can dive into the archives to revisit the tragedies and triumphs of Hearthstone's greatest heroes. It's their story as told in Hearthstone, starting with Miss Jaina Proudmoore, the daughter of the sea, who would rise to become one of the greatest mages on Azeroth.
All things change. That is what magic is. Transformation. Creation. Destruction. But despite my command of it, I never realized how much change would affect me. The things I believed in, and the things I stood for. I was raised in Kael'thas, but as my talent for magic grew, I wanted to study under Archmage Antonidas in Dalaran.
Take me on as your apprentice, please.
I'm afraid I don't have time for that.
Antonidas was a magical boss who earned his skills through hard work and dedication to his crafts. As leader of the Kael'thas and a member of the Council of Six, he was their spokesperson during the formation of the Alliance of Lordaeron. There truly was none better to learn from, and while Jaina had the benefit of her father being Lord Admiral of Kael'thas, which is another prominent position within that alliance, she still had to prove herself, coming in with a basic rank Ice Blast, which deals 1 damage for 2 mana. Antonidas, he shows a much larger mastery of their craft. Any spell that he casts goes twice.
There are plenty of fine mages here who could help you.
But I want it to be you. You're the best.
Well, I suppose that's right. Well, you could ask Archmage Kael'thas for instruction.
Oh no, not him. He gives me the creeps.
Kael'thas should be a name that we're all familiar with. He was once part of the Kael'thas, another member of that Council of Six, but eventually his studies turned a bit darker. He saw the Death Knights of the Horde, and he became mighty interested in their necromantic abilities. That was a big no-no amongst the Kael'thas, so they decided to kick him out. No matter, Kael'thas had already made a new friend in the form of the Lich King.
Even my father is impressed by this one, and he never smiles at anything.
You are quite good.
Fun fact, Jaina's mother, Kevin Proudmoore, she was actually the one who saw how special and brilliant her daughter actually was. She had to move heaven and earth to smooth her path and fight Dalaran, who's her father, to allow her to be trained in Dalaran.
All right, Miss Jaina, you have won me over. I could not imagine a better candidate for my apprentice.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Antonidas was a kind and skillful teacher. My advancement grew beyond my wildest dreams. But so did the pressure I faced.
May I have a demonstration of your studies, Lady Proudmoore?
Certainly, Your Highness.
Prince Kael'thas Sunstrider, still a high elf at the time, quickly took notice of young Miss Proudmoore. She, however, was more focused on her studies, and there was already a different blonde prince that had stolen her hearts. Being a child of Dalaran meant sometimes joining him to Lordaeron, where Arthas Menethil grew up. The two childhood friends, they were quite close, but that friendship evolved into something more when they became older. Arthas started to come up with excuses to visit her in Dalaran, and she didn't mind one bit. Antonidas, Dalaran, and King Theramore, who is Arthas' father, they noticed this, they encouraged it, having these two work together. Meanwhile, our poor Kael'thas, he has no idea that he is shooting for something unobtainable.
I remember when you were accidentally setting books on fire.
Let's not talk about that.
I see you still favor ice spells. It is fire that calls to me.
I'm just trying not to burn any more literature.
That's fair.
When she first arrived in Dalaran, her talent with fire, it needed some desperate honing. She'd accidentally incinerated its home while working with Kael'thas, one that he'd actually been holding at the time. He'd responded by insisting that for the next few months, she would need to practice all those fire spells within the vicinity of the pools that encircled the prison area. So to play it safe, she now sticks with her Ice Blast, upgraded to rank 2, dealing 2 damage for 2 mana. Meanwhile, Kael'thas, he is rocking a passive hero power. Every time that he casts a spell, a fireball is added to his deck. The prince, he loves to play with fire. They even remembered to give him the card Alar, the beautiful mount so many have desired.
Your progress is brilliant, Jaina. Please visit Silvermoon with me sometime.
I appreciate it. But my place is here in Dalaran for now. I couldn't tell Kael'thas that there was another prince I loved. Arthas. We just reunited when a plague broke out across the lands of Lordaeron. We worked together to investigate, but the further we went, the clearer it became that I was losing him. I'm worried about you, Arthas. You haven't been yourself lately.
Don't you think I have enough on my mind without your accusations?
We jump here from her studies in Dalaran to the events in Warcraft 3. In the meantime, Jaina and Arthas, they'd grown as close as they could get. But when she started talking about the future, potentially having children with him, the prince got cold feet. The pressure of the crown, the future of leading his kingdom, his relationship with Jaina, it all became a bit much. He decided to end it. A few years later, and tragedy spread across the lands of Lordaeron. You see, Kael'thas, he had journeyed to Icecrown, made his allegiance with the Lich King. Now it's he and his call to the damned that's spreading their developed plague that not only murders the people of Lordaeron, it also brings them back as the mindless undead.
You're a man of faith. You don't have to hate the enemy so fiercely.
You sound like Uther.
Uther cares about you. So do I.
I will fight for my kingdom. People expect that from me.
I know, but this plague might not be something you can resolve with force.
Jaina is becoming more and more powerful, now using Ice Blast rank 3, 3 damage for 2 mana. Arthas, he plays a lot of Librams and Paladin cards, while his hero power is called Defensive Strike. This deals 2 damage to all enemy minions. If any of them dies, it gives all his minions Divine Shield. Now from a young age, Arthas was trained by Uther the Lightbringer, eventually joined the ranks as a Paladin of the Silver Hand. Now the Golden Child, he faces impossible odds, impossible pressure to protect the people that he loves so much, and his quest for vengeance, it drowns out all other voices of reason. To this day, people still debate whether or not he made the right call at Stratholme. One of the better stories told, in my humble opinion, as that's the point of it. Not even Arthas knew if he was making the right call, if purge in the city was truly the best option at the time. Regardless, Jaina, Uther, even his father, they tried to push him in a different direction, but the prince decided not to listen.
I'm sorry. When this is all over, everything will be fine again. I promise.
If you say so. The darkness I sensed within Arthas was the work of demons. They twisted his soul, transforming him into the Lich King. And he did their bidding, terrorizing his former kingdom. Antonidas charged me with evacuating civilians across the sea. But even there, the demon's influence was lurking, strong as ever.
Leave these lands, pigskin!
Never! How did you orcs even get here?
We are always one step ahead.
At this point, Jaina follows the orders of Antonidas, the guidance of Medivh the Last Guardian. And Medivh, he's been busy gathering those able to stand against the coming fires of doom. She is told to get the survivors of Lordaeron across the sea towards her destiny. Meanwhile, War Chief Thrall and his newly formed Horde, those that were able to avoid capture or were later liberated from their internment camps, they're doing the same, following the words of Medivh all the way across the sea.
You escaped the internment camps?
There is no cage that can yet hold me.
Grum was one of those orcs able to avoid capture by the Alliance. For a while, he and his Warsong clan, they spent their times in the wilds of Azeroth, and it seemed like Grum that he'd actually grown and actually had learned that the demon blood pumping in his veins was losing their effect. His hero power, it allows him to equip the mighty Gorehal, the weapon of his clan. Hellscream, Gorehowl, Warsong, it's a pretty loud orc which serves him well in battle. Meanwhile Jaina, she has stepped up her control over the Frost. She's now able to summon a full 3 attack, 6 health elemental for the cost of 4 mana. And while Grum had learned to keep a bit more of a cooler head, the rise of the demons on Azeroth, brought there by Arthas and Kael'thas, it makes him behave more like the olden days. Despite voices warning him, the orc that stepped up to be the first to drink demonic blood on Draenor, he decided to help himself to a second serving, yum yum, all that to take on the wild god Cenarius, who had showed up to defend the elven lands. Victory was earned by the Warsong clan, but not without a price. Drinking once more, it had placed them firmly under control of the Pit Lord Manaroth.
I am Thrall, leader of the Orc Horde. This warrior answers to me, but his mind has been overwhelmed by rage.
Then we need to subdue him. Let's work together.
Originally, Jaina and Thrall, they had already met by this point, showing up at the Oracle's place. The Oracle actually being Medivh. He proposed for them to work together against the coming Legion, which was just crazy talk. The history between the Alliance and the Horde, it is not one of peace. But Jaina, she'd always been able to see the Orcs as more than just the monsters that some of her other people saw them as. Together, they returned to try and save Gromash. Thrall actually being the one to knock him out, while Jaina, she used her magics to cleanse him of the demonic influence. Free and once more in control, he and Thrall would go on to confront Manaroth, Gromash heroically giving up his life to free the rest of their people.
I see clearly now. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. All is well, thanks to Lady Proudmoore.
Perhaps if we join forces, we can undo more of the demon's plans. I was right. Destiny had brought us together just in time to face a mighty demon, Archimonde. The Night Elves united with us as the demon moved to corrupt their world tree. This was our one chance to lay a trap for him and ensure his destruction.
The time for reckoning has come.
Indeed. But the reckoning will be yours.
Medivh brought them all together, including Tehran the Whisperwind and Malfurion Stormrage, to stand against the darkness. Their plan, it was a simple one. Hold their ground and delay Archimonde, while Malfurion and his druids, they prepared to ignite the powerful enchantments within the World Tree Nordrassil.
You are very brave to stand against me. If only your countrymen had been as bold, I would have had more fun scouring you from the world.
Is talking all you demons do?
If I'd known that this mortal resistance would be so weak, I would have launched this invasion centuries ago.
He doesn't suspect anything.
Jaina's elementals have now reached 4 power and 7 health for a cost of 4 mana. While Archimonde, he has the Reign of Chaos to call upon. Just like during the Warcraft campaign, his 6/6 Infernals, they flood the battlefield. But it's already too late. The secret plan is ready to go. Countless incorporeal spirits, known as wisps, they've emerged from the forest around Hyjal. They close in around Archimonde, ready to ignite.
Fight on, my warriors! They cannot stop the Horde!
For Elun!
Everything we hoped for came true. Archimonde didn't see the trap until it was too late.
Spirit is stronger than he ever knew.
Our alliance with the Night Elves held firm, but the Horde followed another path. Despite the challenges, including my own father's attempts at war, I stood by Thrall and upheld the fragile peace. Then he stepped down as leader of the Horde. In his place was a monster. The first chance he had, he attacked us. Our people have lived in peace for many years. We had an agreement with the War Chief.
There is a new War Chief.
The Theramore's Fall scenario is actually what sparked the idea to make this video, as the little details that they put in this book of heroes, it just called to my little lore heart. So far, the ones that we've been fighting, they play cards that align with the hero or the storyline, like Gromash, he's running with Warsong Commander, or Kael'thas, who is playing with fire. This time, during the assault on Theramore, we know that Garrosh, he wanted the Alliance to gather as many powerful heroes as they could in one single place. And that is why he didn't mind Bane Bloodhoof informing Jaina of their plans. And that's why he ordered their troops to wait before their assault. This gave Jaina all the time she needed to gather those forces, which is actually reflected in her deck. There's Ronan, leader of the Kirantor, with his wife Verisa Windrunner, Chandris Pheromone, representing the elves, the blue dragon Caligos. He showed up Theramore for aid in finding their stolen focusing iris. This is a powerful artifact, possession of his blue dragon flight. While he was there were feelings growing between Jaina and the dragon, eventually deciding to help her out. Jaina herself wields the staff of Antonidas, who's her former mentor. And I'd love to know who over at Hearthstone thought of the idea of adding a doomed apprentice to her deck. This is referencing Kindy Sparkshine, a character created for the novel Tides of War. She was sent over by the Kirantor to become Jaina's apprentice. And fans, they quickly warmed up to her, but what a time to be hanging out in Theramore.
Reinforce our gates! I trusted Thrall. Why would you throw that away?
It doesn't matter now.
Thrall had stepped down to follow the path of becoming Goel, a stronger shaman, and joining the Earthen Ring to heal the world of the effects from the Cataclysm. Prior to this, Jaina had asked him to come back, help out with the Garrosh situation, but he had declined. Now Garrosh, he is not a peacemaker like Thrall was. He sets his eyes on destroying Theramore. At the start of the game, we get 4 gates with a whole bunch of health. But Hellscream's hero ability, it cost him 0 mana and deals 4 damage to one of those gates. If they're destroyed, they deal 3 damage to Jaina. While she herself, she can call upon an ever greater water elemental. This time, it has 5 attack, 8 health, at the cost of 4 mana.
They will stop at nothing!
Taking Theramore purely by force, it was never Garrosh's true plan. That stolen focusing iris, it is in the possession of the Horde, transformed into a mana bomb, and now kindly transported to their actual targets. Ronan decides to make the ultimate sacrifice by drawing in the bomb onto himself into their protective wards. This would reduce the blast radius, save the life of his beloved wife, and he even managed to push Jaina through a portal just before all hell broke loose, just before the mana bomb exploded and his arcane discharge obliterated everything.
And now, deploy our final weapon!
You must retreat, Jaina! Save yourself!
I can't leave my people!
You won't achieve anything by dying here.
I was defeated, but not helpless. I found a way to avenge the fallen. A spell that could summon enough power to destroy all of Orgrimmar. Only one person could stand in my way.
The elements called me here to stop you, old friend.
Friend, this is all your fault, Thrall.
Where before he had declined, now the elements themselves called to the shaman, telling him that they do not want to drown all of Orgrimmar. Jaina, in the meantime, she has returned to Theramore and witnessed its devastation, claimed the focusing iris to empower her spell. She also changed up her hero power. Now it's called Icefall. For 3 mana, it deals 2 damage to 2 random enemy minions, and also freezes them in place. While Thrall, he can call upon his epic shamanistic abilities. The Spirit of Air, it grants all his minions Wind Fury for a cost of 2 mana.
Your war chief annihilated Theramore. Nothing remains!
I grieve for your city, but vengeance will not bring back what was lost. Fight, Garrosh, but the rest of my people are not your enemy.
The Horde is made of monsters, Thrall. You alone deceived me. You can't understand it. You weren't there. You didn't see what happened to Theramore. To me.
The focusing iris, it made her a near unstoppable force. But ultimately, it was words and reason that got to her. Thrall and Kael'thas were able to convince her that this was not her path. This should not be her legacy. to just be another Garrosh or another Arthas. And where once the blonde prince chose to ignore the counsel of his friends and loved ones, Jaina decides to listen.
This is not who you are, Jaina. You can deal with the Horde another way.
I won't let them get away with this.
Of course not. But let Thrall go.
Fine. So long as he knows he will never again be my ally. Kael'thas stayed my hand that day. However, it was only a matter of time until the Horde betrayed me again. I became the leader of the Kirin Tor, and as such, was authorized to expel them from the city of Dalaran. Permanently. You've betrayed the Kirin Tor's Sunreaver. Your kind is no longer welcome here.
This is our city too, Proudmoore.
After not flooding all of Orgrimmar, and instead using the tidal wave to defeat Garrosh, Jaina was appointed as the new leader of the Kirin Tor. As Ronin, he's been blown up at Theramore, following in the footsteps of her teacher.
The Kirin Tor is beyond the Alliance or Horde.
Not when you stab me in the back.
The focusing iris has been removed from her deck as they placed it in the Dalaran vaults. Her leadership, it was neutral at first, even declining a request from Anduin on behalf of his father, but then Garrosh, he used the Sunreavers in Dalaran to help him steal the Divine Bell, a powerful artifact that the war chief really wanted to have, and they went along with it. The Purge of Dalaran followed, and like how there's still debates on the Purge of Travel, even now, people are still talking about this event. About the imprisonment and slaughter of the Sunreavers, who knew nothing of their leader's plans. The question if Jaina made the right call or not, a nice reflection when you compare it to the story of Arthas. Now what is interesting to note is that there was supposed to be a scene in which Arthas actually confronts the Horde. He tries to stop them from abusing their trust in the Kirin Tor and Dalaran and the Sunreavers. But he failed in doing so, yet that scene it never made it into the game, with only a small hint of it showing up later on the Isle of Thunder. That means Arthas has a whole lot of secrets to keep, reflected in the cards that he plays. His hero ability is called Arcane Intensity. For 2 mana, he will deal 2 damage to Jaina and gain +2 spell damage for that turn. Meanwhile, Proudmoore, she has upgraded her Icefall to rank 2. For 3 mana, she deals 3 damage to 2 random enemy minions and still freezes them in place.
At last, I was free of the Horde and the burden of supporting an impossible peace. There were times I still dreamed of the ideals I held in the past. But that time has gone. Forever. Now I have changed into the person the world needs me to be. One who leads with conviction, not appeasement, in the face of endless war.
No longer a leader in Theramore, no longer a leader in Dalaran. Jaina goes out, claiming that she'll never be an ally of Thrall again, claiming that she is no longer going to support an impossible peace. Yet the transformation that she mentioned at the start, it's far from over. A bit of a roller coaster on that mindset, it followed after this chapter, with events in Warlords of Draenor, in Legion and Battle for Azeroth. Right now, she has become Lord Admiral of Kael'thas and does support working together again. She even touched Thrall's bicep, and I mean, if that doesn't say I'm willing to work towards peace, nothing else will. Well, this is where Hearthstone closes the Book of Heroes on Jaina. I do believe that Rexxar is the one coming up next. If I saw it right on Twitter, it might have actually released already, so it might be cool to do him as well. For now though, thank you very much for watching everyone. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, perhaps leave a like on it. I also have social media like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Discord. All the links are down below in the description as always. So for now, until next time, see ya!